Halloween celebration turning into scenes of horror in South Korea. That's where at least 146 people are dead and 150 are injured. The victims were crushed by a large crowd that stampeded in Seoul. The crowd surged forward on a narrow street that's a popular party spot. The revelers had heard that a celebrity was at a local bar. More than 400 emergency workers and 140 vehicles were deployed to the streets to treat the injured. Now, South Korea's president is calling for officials to review the safety of festivity sites in the wake of this tragedy. One witness describes how those jammed couldn't breathe.
I saw the people going to the left side, and I actually saw the person actually get into the opposite side. So actually the person in the middle, they got jammed, and they have no way to communicate, and they cannot breathe.
CNN's Will Ripley is in Seoul, and he joins me now. Will, walk us through how this all happened.
Hi, Alexandra. Just minutes ago, the death toll went up again to about 146 now, and 150 injured. So it has essentially almost tripled since I arrived here on the scene a few hours ago. It's kind of evolved. The scene here was quite chaotic. I was walking past people, in their Halloween costumes, on the phone, in tears, letting their family members know they were okay. A lot of those people have now left. They've actually brought in buses to bring people home, and the government has been sending out these emergency alerts by text message asking people to leave this area. There has been an increase, though, in the number of emergency personnel, like these police officers here, firefighters, paramedics, now numbering more than 1,700. But let me paint a picture for you of where we are. This is Itaewon. It's the iconic nightclub district here in Seoul, and Halloween is one of the biggest nights of the year, especially this Halloween post-COVID. This is the first Halloween without pandemic crowd restrictions in 2 years. And so, as you can imagine, tens of thousands of people in costume came out here, very excited to, many of them, drink alcohol outside and celebrate with their friends. But in this area here, it's a side street, and we can kind of peek the camera around here, Charlie, so you can give people a look. You can see how narrow it is. And we have pictures that I posted on my Twitter. I don't know if you guys have it, but basically there were thousands and thousands of people jam-packed into this very, very tight area, packed so tightly that we've been given a description essentially that people were piled up over each other, and so some of the injuries, people who fell were crushed. There were people who called, more than 80 calls from people complaining that they actually couldn't breathe. They were suffocating, and a number of the victims died from cardiac arrest because their hearts simply stopped. And out on the street here, now it's empty, but this is one of the areas where on social media there were videos of people just lined down this sidewalk, lying there lifeless, with paramedics, friends, desperately trying to perform CPR and to revive them, but because some of these people were just so badly hurt, the number of dead has continued to go up. Every time that we get an update, the death toll has continued to rise because the injuries in this crush were just so horrific. And this has risen to the level of a national disaster here in South Korea. The president convened an emergency meeting. He sent a disaster management team here, and that's the people that you see out on the street here. You have investigators as well as firefighters and police to control the situation. The roads here have been blocked off. This whole area has been blocked off.
Wow.
They're trying to get all of the Halloween partiers out. And the videos that have been emerging, Alexandra, on social media are just so gruesome and horrible to look at, because we actually saw a lot of the bodies being rolled out on stretchers. Even though they had sheets covering them, you could see their Halloween costumes. Mm-hmm. Very, very distinctive Halloween costumes, and a lot of the families simply do not know whether their loved ones who were out here, and these are young people in their late teens, early 20s primarily, they just don't know whether they're okay or not. I talked to a young man who was actually caught in the crush on that narrow street. He said it was so scary because he just couldn't breathe. He could not breathe, and there was nowhere to go because there were so many people around him. When he finally got out of the area, He was able to get a hold of one of his friends, but he said that another 3 of his friends who are, he says, American service members who are stationed here in South Korea and were on leave for Halloween, he has not been able to get a hold of them. They are still missing. And that's a story that I keep hearing time and time again as I talk to people out here. They're on their phones frantically trying to get a hold of their friends who were somewhere in that mess. And maybe they're in hospitals, maybe they're safely home and just haven't turned their phones on, or
so Will,
they could be on that growing list of people who were killed and who have not yet been identified, Alexandra.
What a scene. Well, talk to us about what time it is there right now in Seoul, and quickly, what's the scene like right now?
Yeah, so right now it's about 4:20 in the morning here, this is around the time that there might still be some clubs that would have been open, because this is, as I mentioned, this is Eat Taiwan. This is people fly in from all over the region to come and party here in this particular part of the South Korean capital of Seoul. All of the hotels in this surrounding area are fully booked. It's almost impossible to get a room. And again, people were so excited to come out post-pandemic. This is the first time that the crowd restrictions were fully lifted, that you just had huge numbers of people swarming here. And so these streets, which are now full of emergency vehicles, were earlier in the night just lined, packed with people. You're talking about tens of thousands of people easily. And there's going to be a real reckoning now to try to really look at how this happened. Where was the crowd control? Could they have done anything to prevent this? Because the pictures that I was shown were taken 2 hours before the actual deadly incident itself, and even at that time, the streets were dangerously packed with people. Clearly, here in South Korea, they're going to have to take a very hard look at what happened and how to prevent this sort of thing from happening. Because sure, people want to come out and have a good time, but nobody ever expects for it to end like this.
So many questions. Okay, well, thank you so much. That is CNN's Will Ripley reporting in Seoul.